Hello and welcome to this month's Better Business webinar, where we are going to look at getting your tax return season off to a good start. So I'm Della Hudson. I am a chartered accountant, founder of 2 accountancy practices and author of 3 books. You probably know The Numbers Business is the most popular one. I'm also a confirmed tea addict, so please excuse me, I shall be drinking while I am presenting, and hopefully you've got a nice cup or something there as well. So tax return season, it's the bane of our lives. It happens every single year, and this year we've got the added complication of MTD, Making Tax Digital, which means we're trying to do the 2026-27 tax return season quarterly reports alongside the year-end report for 2025-26 under the old system. And I say we're doing it already. It's actually the 1st of April. So we've got a few days before the tax return software is enabled for us to start going on that. But if you've got 31st March accounts, then you're probably pretty much ready to go on at least some of your clients. And that's what I want to get an eye on, making sure that we are up to speed with all those clients as soon as they're ready. I actually had one in the past. I've had somebody with the 31st March year end, because it fell on the Saturday. She brought all her records over on the Friday night on the 30th. I'd say I can't actually do anything with them until after the 31st, preferably after the 5th of April. So we've sent out all our reminders already for 31st March accounts, whether that's limited companies, whether it's sole traders, and we've got a partnership in there as well. So I want you to be able to run your business as smoothly as possible. All my talks are some component of systemizing, automating, and delegating everything, because I founded my first business. I started, grew, and sold it working just 25 hours a week on average. And I sold it for over 32% above the average for that period, because it was so well systemized. So there's a financial benefit in doing this as well. Plus you get your work-life balance, and it's all just a lot easier. And if you're happier, you'll do better work for your clients as well. So yes, it sounds selfish, but actually it's a lot better for everyone concerned. So what do we do? First of all, we triage our clients, and this is something we did in February, and I'll provide a link to the webinar I did on that. So we triage our clients A through to D. A are our perfect clients. We don't have nearly as many of those as I'd like, but we do have some. B are our pretty good clients. So we want all our clients ideally to be A's and B's, but we've got a fair amount. Most of them sit in the C zone. They're just bread and butter. They aren't the highly profitable ones, but they're profitable enough, and otherwise we wouldn't have them. And they fit well with our style. And I was just sort of reviewing my March accounts earlier, and it's so nice. We've been churning our clients recently. So as we're getting in good quality A and B clients, we've been dropping off we've been dropping off C clients. We're past dropping off the D clients. I had a huge purge last year. So the figures are actually looking really good, and I'm working a comfortable number of hours. With this practice, I do work more than the 25 hours, but that's because I'm running 3 businesses. So I run Minerva Accountants, I run Hudson Business Advice, which is where I speak, I write, I coach accountants to run a better business, of which this is a little taster. And I also run a small fintech with my partner, who's a software engineer. So I'm working more like 35 hours a week, running 3 businesses, which is possible when you have everything systemized and the right clients on board. Let's get the right people on the bus, whether that's your team, whether it's your clients. So most of our clients, bread and butter, C clients, they bring in the money, they're not much hassle, and they're nice enough people. And then we have the D clients, which is what the February webinar is about. And we all define our D clients separately. So it's profitability, it's how nice they are, it's how well they fit with our model and things like that. So some of the D clients we dropped off are probably A clients for somebody just starting up. Like I say, we've just purged our D clients, which means next February we will do another triage, and some of those C's will be D's because we've raised our standards. So February webinar, go and watch that on how to triage your clients. We need to also look at our limited companies and the accounts that we've got, because we have an awful lot of March year ends, which means they're a December deadline, and that really gets mixed in amongst all these tax returns. And actually, with our client mix, actually we have more of an issue with those. So we pin in our limited company client because they've got different year ends, and they go into our system first. Then we look at our self-assessments clients who also have accounts, because usually they're smaller than the limited, and especially at the moment with not being much tax difference between limited and sole trade, we've got a lot staying as sole trade for longer. So we've got the limited ones go in first, then the sole traders with accounts, and then the simple self-assessments. We've got loads of director self-assessments. They're essentially just the salary and the dividends they take from the company. Maybe a little bit of bank interest, maybe a rental property, but they're pretty simple compared to the others. So they're easy to fit in around the bigger ones. So what do? We send out our reminders. I told you our reminders for the 31st of March accounts have already gone out today. Now, we do that using Bright Manager, but you can use whatever system. The idea is that you send out reminders. So we have standard reminders go out for the accounts themselves, but we also have a second set of reminders go out for the self-assessment. So the first reminder goes out in April, just to kick that off. And remember, the clients are also getting their reminders from HMRC at that point as well. We send a second reminder in June. And so the first reminder gets in, about a third of the clients. The second reminder in June gets in another third of the clients, just very approximately. And that is enough for us to work on over the summer. We don't want anything particularly coming in the quiet period in August. And then September, we send a third reminder, and that is gets in most of the rest. Then that's our 3 standard reminders. And then the 1st of October, I send a final reminder saying, if they're not in by the 31st of October, tough. Well, quite tough, but we won't guarantee to get them in on time. So the idea is that I want everything in by the end of October. So we're chasing in the stragglers. I like everything to be done before I go off for Christmas. Thank you very much, so that I can relax and enjoy myself. I am not a martyr to my business, and I hope you're not either. So we've got our 3 standard reminders. We've got our final reminder, 1st of October, 31st of October, we say, still haven't received it, tough. Again, not quite that firmly worded. And we continue to chase up until Christmas, at which point we usually disengage if we haven't heard anything. And unless there's a pretty good reason, we usually disengage if we haven't had anything in by Christmas, and no response. Sorry, I've got Earl Grey tea today. We do keep chasing, and we do all that by email because we're an online practice. All our team work remotely. Written communication is the best for us. And because it's all through Bright Manager, we've got copies of the emails on there, so we know exactly where we are. If necessary, we'll give them a ring as well, if we think there's some issue, but we tend to, that's a last resort before disengaging. And this doesn't take accountant time. This takes PA, VA, personal assistant, virtual assistant, whatever you call them. Kate is so good. We've actually made her our business manager. So Kate manages the clients. We just do the work. Our client account managers do the work and the technical stuff. So it's not your expensive staff who are doing it, it's your cheaper admin side. And so I can recommend taking on somebody just to do that sort of thing. Our engagement letters also say that we are supposed to receive information from them 4 months after the year end. And I've actually had to remind a client of that once in my first practice. So he came in, dropped something off in January, and then contacted me the next day to find out how much tax he owed. So I said about the standard thing that, at this time of year, we do things in order of receipt. And he go back to that, but I need to know how much tax to pay. And well, you've had 9 months already to submit your information to find out how much tax you have to pay. Needless to say, we put him firmly on the decline list, 1, because he was late, and 2, because he was then chasing. So we said goodbye to him after his tax return was done and submitted. And that's one of the things we do. Usually when I do that triage, we do the bigger accounts and we fit the smaller ones in around them. But when you're getting close to the deadline, we do have to prioritize according to when they come in. So if you do miss a deadline, which we haven't yet, then we've been fair to them and we haven't penalized somebody who got something slightly earlier in favor of somebody who got something in slightly later. The other way to incentivize your clients is with pricing. So you can offer a discount if they get it in before May, for instance, and a higher increase if it's after November. So we did this for the first time last year, and we offered an express service to do it within a month. So our normal turnaround we quote as 3 months, and I know that's really doable, but it means we've got time to, as I say, filter in everything as we want to. We usually turn things around in about a month. It is one of our KPIs, but our service level agreement is for 3 months. So we offer an express service for 1 month. So if it's prior to July, that is free of charge. Then anything after July that they want an express service on, they pay us 50% extra to turn around in a month. If they want it turned around our super express service within a week, they pay double the fee. And that also applies to our tardy accounts clients. I don't like running close to deadlines. It's actually stressful. You may have noticed. So the work itself isn't stressful in what we do because we have well-matched clients. It's the stress of having to chase people constantly. So we've got those, you can do discounts, you can do fee increases depending on what you want in when. Generally, our clients are on fixed fees, and I prefer that because they pay us by monthly installments. So that's a lot easier. And there's another pricing webinar on, you can find it on the YouTube channel, Della Hudson FCA YouTube channel. Then you can find the details of how we do our pricing and our monthly payments. It just smooths the income. It's a lot easier because you're paying for your staff all year, you're paying for your software all year, and you're paying your own personal bills all year. So one thing we want is a nice, smooth income. None of this up and down, panicky stuff. Although I know some accountants do like having that nice little lump sum in January because it pays for their holiday. Whatever you do. I talk about how I run my practice and what I consider is best practice, but we all want different things out of our business. So I can only suggest things, and you need to decide if it suits you or not. We use a lot of checklists. So we have our standard working papers that we work through, and we have on BrightManage, we have our internal notes, anything in particular that need to be taken into account on those. And they're also copied into our working papers. So we have three pages really. We have the permanent notes. We have the current year notes, and then we have prior year notes, which is just copied in from last year's file, just that we know of any sort of anomalies that were there last year or that we might need to carry forward into this year's notes, or things like that. And sometimes if you're doing the prior year, you happen to notice something in the current year, so you want to make sure it's carried forward to next year. So we have our checklists and we have our notes. And it's the same with bookkeeping as well. We have our standard bookkeeping processes, and then we have it's actually just a Word document with the foibles, should we call them, of individual clients and how they do things, the funny things that they have, and anything to watch out for, things like that. And these also act as our internal checks to make sure that we are meeting our standards. So I've said it's not the work itself, it's the process that tends to be the most stressful. So we use Bright Manager, formerly Accountancy Manager, as our workflow system, but there are various other things that you can use. And frankly, I've used most of them over the years. So you may have a good old-fashioned paper system that works for you. I'm not sure that's such a good idea these days, but you do you, as long as you have a system. Some people like whiteboards, and I said they have great big whiteboards all around with all the deadlines on because they like something visual. And I've got a couple of whiteboards here, but I tend to use them more for brainstorming type activities. But some people just like to track their progress on the whiteboard. Spreadsheets, and I say if you've got less than 50 clients and don't intend to grow beyond that, you could potentially manage all your deadlines on the spreadsheet. Now, you lose a lot of the other functionality that comes with software, but the workflow process itself you can do on the spreadsheet, or Trello is free of charge. It's just a Kanban system, so you can do that. And we used to do that. When I first started out, I had an old T-card system where you put the cards in and out. If you're as old as me, and you've worked in the industry, you'll have probably seen them. But Trello replicates that electronically. So we start off with the first column with all our client names and year end. And then as the year end passes, you move them over one step, and then you chase them in, so they move to the next step, and then books are received, so they go another step. And then you allocate, so we were small enough that we had a column for each of our client account managers as they were doing their business. And then we had a query sent for queries, and then it would come back to the account manager once it was received. Otherwise, we had a sent to client for approval. We didn't bother with draft accounts. I still don't bother with draft accounts. It's very rare that you have to make adjustments with the nature of the clients we've got. We would usually ask the questions beforehand rather than send draft accounts. Again, depends on the nature and the complexity of your clients. So Trello, and then you've got things like Center, Engager, FYI, which is a reporting system that things off, Zero Practice Manager, and there are all sorts of other ones out there. So just have a look around and see which one suits you. And I think it's really swings and roundabouts. Bright Manager is good at recording the stuff, but it's absolutely rubbish at reporting it. So we tend to run a double system on some of our bits, and we have Bright Manager. Bright Manager is the source of truth, but we also have the spreadsheet just so we can all see what we're doing at a glance. And the other important thing about tax year end is looking after yourself, because if you look after yourself, what are you in business for? If not to look after yourself, but also if you look after yourself, you're able to do a better job for your clients. So I know it's a little bit early to be thinking about that, but it's good advice all year round. Is make sure you're eating properly, that you're exercising, that you're drinking the right things. Yep, wine is good at tax return year end, in tax season, but not too much, and also getting good sleep. So we make sure that's as easy as possible. I'll often batch cook so that I've got quick meals to do when I'm up against deadlines, and yeah, making sure we've got some healthy snacks around, grabbing those carrot sticks, not just the chocolates. Yeah, look after yourself and you'll be in a much better state to look after your clients. And this year, as I mentioned, we've got the delightful MTD for income tax and self-assessments. So we have to be doing the 2026 year-end tax returns alongside our lovely, lovely quarterly returns. So we've got our June quarter submitted by the 7th of August. We've got another deadline, the 7th of November. And those, so the new ones on there are just bimbling along, but we actually have to do all of these alongside our legacy regime, and we're going to have 3 years of that. There will always be some sort of legacy regime for the next 3 years, so get used to it, folks. Hopefully you've got all your MTD sorted so that this will all run nice and smoothly. I've been talking about MTD for about 8 years now. I know some people still aren't ready. I think we're ready, but until it goes live, who knows? So I will be doing an MTD update. In the meantime, if you're still sorting out your MTD stuff, then there's another video on the YouTube site. They're all there ready for you. MTD for accountants and bookkeepers, so you can make sure that you've got that all working as smoothly as possible. And I don't know if you've got more than one member of staff, you might have somebody focused on the MTD deadlines while everybody else works on primarily on the annual ones. You know your people, you know your team, you know your resource and your clients. So what else do we have? Coaching courses. We've got the Numbers Business Online course. You can do that online, either as a standalone course or supplement it with the group coaching, which is held on the last Friday of each month. If you want individual coaching and mentoring, that's there. And there is for any accounting and bookkeeping support group members, there is a 25% discount off this week. So let me know if you want to do anything before Friday. So we're on Wednesday, so let me know by, let's just say by Monday. It's all on hudsonbusiness.co.uk and follow the accountants tabs to see what's available for accountants. Better Business webinars this year. We've got lots coming up. So next month, we are looking at changing the numbers, how to deliver profitable advisory services. Now, actually, I've got a full one-day course running on the 17th of April. If you're interested, let me know. But if that's payable, but the free one in May is it's just a 30-minute Better Business webinar like these. Other events for the accounting and bookkeeper support group. So first Wednesday usually Better Business webinar. Third Wednesday is the startup Q&A, which we do on Zoom so that people can ask their questions live. We have software demos in the group, and then we have the Friday night advertising post if you're looking for work or if you're recruiting. For those who can get to the big conferences and exhibitions, we have WhatsApp groups. So the next one, I think, is May Accountex, and hopefully we'll have a little meetup there. You get discounts on Hudson Business Advice courses and coaching. The 25% is just for this week, but usually there's an ongoing discount. Sign up and you can get the weekly top tips for accountants. And then there's also a paid membership group for the Numbers Business Academy. So you'll get extra learning in there for a small monthly fee. I think we've got a couple of minutes if anybody has any questions, if you want to post them in the chat. You can have a little look at that. Otherwise, I am going to go and have some lunch. Okay, nothing coming in. So I will see you next month for the changing the numbers, how to deliver advisory services for success. If you want to do the free 30-minute, if you want the paid online course on Friday, the 17th of April, just let me know, and there will be a discount available, as I say, if you sign up by Monday. So take care then, and see you around. Bye.